So, so good afternoon. My name is Leilani Iser Reed, and I represent the Mid-Hudson Problem Gambling Resource Center. I'm going to share my screen so that we can see this wonderful presentation that we're about to partake in.
Perfect. And in the meantime, I want to welcome all of our attendees and thank you for following us and watching our videos here in Community Chats out of Montefiore Nyack Hospital. My name is Sandra Arevalo and I'm the Director of Community Health and Wellness. And I welcome you once again to be with us. Today, we're going to be talking about problem gambling, because this could be a hidden addiction. A lot of people think, oh no, I'm just playing a game, but that game can become dangerous when you do it too often or you don't know when to stop. So today, Leilani Jaisar is going to be with us talking about when it becomes a problem, giving us some tips, sharing some information. That way, if you're concerned about a loved one or someone you know, or you hear about something, you have some good information that is reliable to share. Leilani, before we start, do you want to tell us a little bit about you and the Mid-Hudson Resource Center so that we know where you're coming from?
Yep. So I work throughout the whole Mid-Hudson region, which is I service the counties of Sullivan, Ulster, Orange, Dutchess, Putnam, Rockland, and Westchester. So we service all of those counties and providing information and connections to services to any person who is struggling with gambling and their loved one. So that is the work that we do in the Mid-Hudson Problem Gambling Resource Center.
And I also want to thank you for being here today, for bringing this information to us, because often, we don't know when we're going to get in trouble or we're going to meet somebody who is, or learn about somebody who is, and we don't know, what to do and what information to offer. So I thank you very much for taking the time to make this information available for our Rockland community. So go ahead.
Thank you.
The podium is all yours. Well, the TV or the computer, I don't know how to call it. Zoom is all.
Zoom. We're zooming away.
Yeah.
I thank you, Sandra, for allowing me to do this. I know I talked on a different platform about grief last time, but this time we're going to be talking about problem gambling, which is an important topic because a lot of people, like you said, do not know about this addiction, and it's not as prevalent as drugs or alcohol, or it's not seen as a dangerous something to partake in. It's not deemed dangerous. So we want to, and it really isn't. It's dangerous when it becomes a problem. So we want to talk about that today. While I do work in the Mid-Hudson region, there are 7 resource centers throughout New York State, and we all represent the New York Council on Problem Gambling, which is housed in Albany, and this is a not-for-profit independent corporation dedicated to increasing the awareness about problem gambling and advocating for support services and treatment for persons adversely affected by gambling. At all times, we do say that we are not for or against the expansion of gambling. We remain neutral, and whenever a person is struggling with it, then we get them connected to care. But we remain neutral on our stance about gambling. So what is gambling? What is gambling? How do we define it? How does any person define it? It is defined as risking something of value at a chance of reward. And that is how we define gambling. Risking something of value. And that value could be money, it could be your jewelry, it could be your home, it could be your stocks, your bonds, it could be a person, it could be anything that you're willing to risk for a chance of whatever reward that you're looking for. That is how we define gambling. So we know that there are individuals in this world, in this nation, that gamble socially. And we also know that there are people who are struggling with their gambling problems. problems. So the difference between a person who is a social gambler versus a person who has a problem with gambling, their expectations could be different. The social gambler understands that when they're going into play, whether it's a casino or they're going to get a scratch off a lottery ticket or they're participating in a sports betting, that they know whether win, lose, or draw, it's okay. They have that expectation. Like they put their money, they put a set aside amount of money that they are going to use, and whether they win it or they lose it, they are okay. A problem gambler's expectation is different than a social gambler. A problem gambler would, if they believe that they're going to win, and they will keep trying to win until they do. Even though they made a run out of money, they may have to borrow money for somebody else. Their expectations of that winning is different than the social gambler. Their treatment of time is different. The problem gambler will keep going, as I said before. They will keep going, keep playing until they do not have any money left. And then when they don't have any money left, they will borrow, they will steal, they will do whatever it takes to try to gain that money back. The reaction to loss is different. The social gambler would tell you, hey, I was playing at the casino, or I bought like 10 scratch offs and I lost. I participated at my jobs, they did a lottery pool and then I lost, but it's okay. I'm all right with it. Problem gambler is not necessarily going to, their reaction to loss could be different. There may be some aggression that comes along with it. And the disclosure is different. The problem gambler may not tell you that they spent $1,000 just to win 500 back. They're not going to disclose how much they spent. They will disclose how much they won. And they're often not even going to disclose how much they're participating in gambling, because they do not want any person to know that this has become a problem for them. And possibly nor do they recognize that it is a problem. So we have our non-gambler, people who have never gambled before. And between a non-gambler and at-risk gambler is our social gambler. Then you have at risk, then you have the problem. And then you have this fine line between problem gambling and gambling disorder. And the reason why there's a fine line is because a person who has a gambling disorder can have a problem with gambling, but a problem gambler cannot have a gambling disorder unless they have been diagnosed by a clinician through the DSM-5, saying that they do have a gambling disorder. That means a person has seeked help and they have been diagnosed of this or by this. Approximately 85% of US adults have gambled at least once in their lives. 60% report gambling in the past year. 2 million US adults, that means that is 1%, are estimated to meet the criteria for severe gambling disorder. Another 4 to 6 million, that's 2 to 3%, would be considered to have mild or moderate gambling problems. Now, these stats are every year they're getting older and older. And we know, and these are stats that came about prior to the legalization of mobile sports betting. And we know with the amount of people that participated in mobile sports betting when it first was legalized in 2021, the numbers have almost doubled. So we know that more and more people are participating in gambling, and more people are calling in and trying to or recognizing that they have a problem and calling in for services. So some of the warning signs for individuals who are struggling is they're constantly thinking about gambling. They're feeling desperate, anxious, depressed, or suicidal because of their gambling. Their need to gamble more and more for the same excitement. It's almost like that first high. They're trying to get that first high back. So they keep playing and keep playing for that same excitement. They're lying to their family, their loved ones about their gambling and how much they spent on it. And there are people who gamble to escape their worries or frustrations. That is to me, gambling to escape is often associated with domestic violence, because individuals who may want to be escaping their home situations go to a casino because it's an open space, it could be deemed safe, and then they end up spending more and more time there, spending more and more money, and not realizing that it's not just they're escaping their home situation, but then they're gaining this addiction. It's somewhere that they felt safe and then end up putting more and more time and money into something. And then people are using money meant for bills or necessities to gamble. Using if a loved one reaches out to you and say, "Hey, I can't make my rent, or I can't pay my light bill today, this month, and I'm struggling a little bit." I'm not saying it is gambling. That's the reason, but there may be a cause as to why that they're unable to pay their bill and they're asking for money. So these are the types of gambling in New York State. We have horse racing, lottery, casinos, off-track betting, bingo, raffles, slot machines, cards, dice, scratch-offs, cryptocurrency, office pools, stock market, sports betting, regular sports betting, mobile sports betting. And then, like I said, mobile sports betting went live in April 2021. Oh no, it was legalized um, April 2021, and then it went live January 9th on 2022. So gambling addiction, we know, affects everyone. We know that 70% of those problem gamblers also have a alcohol disorder. 38% of problem gamblers also have a drug disorder, and 60% also have a problem gamblers also have a nicotine disorder. So then when it comes down to the mental health piece, we know that two-thirds of problem gamblers have reported their mental health has suffered because of their gambling addiction. And 41% of problem gamblers have reported that they have their problems with gambling have put themselves in a state of anxiety. Problem gambling and suicide. We know that 1 in 5 persons who are struggling with problem gambling have attempted suicide. And with that rate is understanding that individuals who may feel that they don't have anything left to give, or they lost everything, they can't face their family members, they don't want to face themselves. They feel that attempting suicide may be their answer. That's why the statistic is so high. Our special populations. So when we started really digging deep into the council, started digging deep into what is gambling, how is this a problem in the communities, and how is it a problem amongst other cultures, other populations, other people with diverse backgrounds. What does this look like? How are they affected? Are they affected? And so we really started digging deep into our youth, our seniors, our veterans, persons with disabilities. And then even right now, we have a pilot program that is happening in New York City, where they're really digging deep into ethnic populations and seeing how persons of color, how are they affected? What are their perceptions around gambling? We know that our youth, college age youth, or younger than that, participate in gambling. One of the ways that our young people are participating in gambling is oftentimes family members purchase scratch-offs for them and put them in stocking stuffers, or just give them out as gifts. Could be like the first start of understanding what gambling is. There's some people who play bingo or play Pacino for money, and it's very much a part of their family culture. We know that kids also participate in gaming, and within gaming there is a form of gambling. So our seniors love bingo, they love to go to the casino, they love participating, and sometimes it's a social hour for them. So it's understanding that these gambling is an equal opportunist. It's not just for one set of people. Everybody can become affected, or that can be affected by problem gambling. What are some of the consequences of gambling? This is how it impacts the individual. Oftentimes, people are spending, like I stated before, spending their retirement funds, their college savings, their children's college savings on gambling. Their mood often changes, some become violent, some display really bouts of aggression when money is being taken away from them or money is being monitored. They're cashing in their life insurance policies. There becomes problems with their loved ones, and people are willing to go eat less or go without because of their gambling addiction. How does it impact the family? There's frustration, there's anxiety, there's depression, not just with the possible the spouse, but also the children and also other family members, sisters, aunts, uncles, any person that is in that problem gambler's life. People could be affected. The lack of trust with there's financial difficulties. If the problem gambler was the main person who was in charge of the finances for the household, and all of a sudden now we see that that person has a problem, the other person in the household could now have to take on the finances, and maybe they're not used to that. Can add stress to an individual. um Anticipate, they sometimes are anticipating the loved one's mood swings. We know that 90% of those affected by someone else's gambling behavior has reported emotional distress. And one third of problem gamblers have reported being victim or a perpetrator of intimate partner violence. So remember when I was talking about escapism before, if you could be a victim and a perpetrator of intimate partner violence because of gambling, so you could also be a victim and try to escape to to the casino, but then you also could be a perpetrator of the intimate partner violence because the person is trying to ask you to stop and you don't want to, so you become aggressive. How does this impact society? 20% of the addicted gamblers have filed for bankruptcy. 20% of the unhoused populations are gambling addicts. 60% of those addicted to gambling will commit crimes. The overall cost to taxpayers estimated at $56,000 for each problem gambler, including costs of treatment, health-related costs, absenteeism at work, and time spent in court. So when someone needs help, what do? You can call our PGRC, Problem Gambling Resource Center Clinical Network. We have a group of licensed mental health professionals that are specialized in problem gambling, in particular with the cognitive behavioral therapy and motivational interviewing model, using those two models. And our clinical network is either in person or via telehealth. We are expanding to ensure that persons with different languages are can be their needs can be met. They can see they can be serviced, whether it's Spanish I'm sorry, they can be serviced in their native tongue, whether it's Spanish, Chinese. We're really trying to dig deep and find clinicians who can meet the needs of any person, whether their ethnic background or their cultural background. We also make referrals for support services. You can be referred to Gamblers Anonymous or GA. Well, Gamblers Anonymous is GA, or Gamanon. Gamanon is the support group for the loved one. We also have family groups. There is a huge recovery community. We do have peer support on staff. They can talk to somebody firsthand who has been in recovery for years, and ask questions before they are unsure as to what support services they want to go into, or they want to be in. We also are connected to different podcasts. The New York Council on Problem Gambling has their own podcast called The Hidden Addiction that is on majority platforms: Spotify, Apple, Google, any of those, Anchor. So you can check out the Hidden Addiction podcast, as well as other podcasts out there that are specific to, some are specific to women, some are specific to veterans, and talking about gambling addiction. And then there are self-exclusion programs. We can provide information about voluntary self-exclusion, the self-exclusion process in New York State. And self-exclusion programs are any individual who is willing and wanting to me, this is individuals who want, I feel, who want to take their power back by saying, I want to self-exclude myself from casinos within New York State. They fill out a form, and they will, once they fill out the form, they will exclude themselves from all New York State casinos except for the tribal ones. Um, and they will, if they try to go back into the casino, because that's what sometimes what people do when they relapse, that the casino has the right to remove them from the casino, first by asking, and if they are unwilling to remove themselves, then it will be a prompt escort. So I believe that this is a great program for people to really take control, to say, I know I have a problem and I want to self-exclude. Another self-exclusion program, and let me remind you, the self-exclusion process, they only have to fill out one form, and it will go to all the casinos. Not They don't have to go to each casino and fill out a separate form. With their self-exclusion programs for on the mobile sports betting platforms, but with those platforms, they have to individually go to each platform. Like if they FanDuel has their own, DraftKings has their own, Caesars has their own. They have to go to each platform, which can become a barrier for some people. And it could also be triggered. So if they have to keep going into each platform, they may end up gambling and kind of set a person back in their recovery process. Excuse me. So our referral process goes as such. You can contact us via email, phone, message. Our hours right now, and we're hoping to expand, is Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Hopefully, in the year or years to come, it'll be a 24-hour hotline. But in the meantime, you could call the Hope Line, New York State Hope Line, and get connected to care. All calls are confidential, and we make sure that there is no cost, that cost is not a barrier. So if individuals are unable to pay out of pocket because money is an issue, or they're unable to pay through their insurance, we can cover the cost. We do now have a New York State hotline, or one number, because it used to be that each region has their own numbers, but now we have one number, and it's 1-833-437-3864. That is the number that you can call. You could speak to one of our program managers, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and they will connect you to a clinician. It's not that we're going to hand you the clinician's number. We're going to do a warm transfer. That is the process. We want to make sure that people are truly connecting to care. And that will be because with the warm transfer. You call, you say you are struggling, or the loved one says, my loved one is struggling with problem gambling, but I need help too. I need help too, because we believe that the individuals, the loved ones, are in recovery as well. So all of these persons can get connected to care. So you can either call the 1-833 number, or you can email us at midhudsonpgrc@nyproblemgambling.org to be connected to care. So at the end of the day, what we do, you can connect with us through Facebook, you can connect with us through Instagram. That's a QR code to the Hidden Addiction Podcast. And that you can call us, 914-215-6440. You can call us on our phone. And just if you have any questions, or you can contact us, email us if you have any questions, or you can go to nyproblemgambling.org for more resources. If you were looking for more presentations, we do other presentations that are specifically around mental health and suicide. We can dig deep on veterans. We can dig deep on domestic violence. We also can dig deep in with individuals who have with different ethnic backgrounds. We've taken surveys if you want to understand what are people's perceptions around gambling. we have a whole host of presentations that we can provide, and as well as resources. Please visit our website. Please ask questions because gambling is out there. We also do we do advocacy work around ensuring that workspaces add gambling language to their workplace policies because we know that people are participating in gambling in their workspace and oftentimes are embezzling money because of their gambling habits. So if you need to learn how to or want more information on how to protect your organization as well as more importantly protect your employees and help them get connected to care, please reach out to us for help. So that is it. I went by that. I went through that really quickly.
No, that was perfect, Leilani. Thank you so much for that information because I think it's really, really helpful to a lot of us. And of course, I have some follow-up questions. And I encourage those of you who are listening to please ask questions as well. This space is for all of you. It's open to your questions. And I'm sure Leilani will be very happy to answer them. So use the chat, the Q&A, and please start writing all your questions. But in the meantime, Leilani, I always have a lot of questions because I'm a very curious person. So how and just feel free to say if it's not your area of expertise, but how do you end up becoming an addict gambler? Like how does that develop? Because I feel like, you know, you can buy the lotto and you can play bingo and there is nothing wrong with that, but how does that become a problem eventually? Is that a personality issue?
It can be a little bit of everything, right? Some people are predisposed to addiction because it's in their family. It runs in their family. They have addictive personalities. Another way that sometimes that people don't often notice, and it kind of goes hand in hand, is if you have a competitive personality, and there's often people, especially those who participate in sports, they have competitive personalities, and sometimes with gambling, it is a competition to win, right? And then you can become addicted to the competition of it all. So you can go from somebody who just, I participated once or twice, and it becomes enticing, and then you start participating more and more and more. Oftentimes people are not paying attention to themselves and their behaviors, right? Is how does one person who often possibly once in a while drinks a glass of wine turn to having a glass of wine every night, having a few glasses of wine every night? And we don't realize that a lot of life's traumas, a lot of life situations is what is bringing us to do these, to participate in these behaviors. There's one there, I do sometimes a group talk at one of our inpatient addiction facilities in the Mid-Hudson. And one time a person said, like, while her addiction is drugs, she's like, I often go to the casino with my mother-in-law to play, and it's just I'm having fun, like I'm not doing anything. But when she wins, she often uses that money to buy more drugs. So one hand is feeding the other.
Oh my gosh.
So and that's how intricate it can be, and that's not everybody's story, but that's somebody's story. And a lot of times people stay in their addiction because they've lost hope, and they're dealing with a lot. They need money. We are living in a world right now where people are unable to afford to live in their spaces. So oftentimes the lottery or gambling could be a quick fix. Let me try my luck. And then it just becomes an habit. It just ends up becoming a habit.
And I don't know why, but we all have heard of beginner's luck, right? Me personally, the very first time that I went to a casino, I won like $300, and I was like, wow, that was pure beginner's luck. And And I think that might be somewhat enticing for people to come back. But then at the same time, it's like you start losing,
Yeah.
you should stop because you know you're losing. That is what you said, sometimes it's that competition, like, no, I gotta win and I gotta come back because next time I will win.
So you know, my last talk with you, I talked about grief.
Yes.
And a lot of times us as human beings don't realize how much grief takes a toll on our life. And with grief, one of the ways that people could participate in gambling in a sense, right, is through their phone. And
Yes.
sometimes the addiction could be screen time, right? But the addiction also could be gambling on your phone. So you could be playing a game, right? And the game is what is distracting your mind from thinking about what you're grieving. And then you keep playing. And when that free time starts to run out, then you start putting money on the game. You put more and more money on the game so that you could continue playing, so that you could forget about your worries.
Yeah, so it's just like a drug or alcohol, definitely the same.
The same. And addiction is addiction. They're different. They're definitely different in how they look and how they feel to a different person, but an addiction is an addiction.
And there might not be physical harm, but there is definitely economic harm and harm to the family and everything, like every other addiction.
Right.
Leilani, let's talk about seniors for a minute. And I'm saying seniors because casinos always have a lot of seniors sitting down there, especially in those slot machines.
Yes.
What makes gambling so attractive to seniors?
It could be that it's their money. They worked hard for it all their life, and it's also could be it's a social hour. A lot of senior centers or senior programs, they often take the seniors to casinos, or in their senior centers, they're often playing bingo.
Yes.
So it's a social hour for them. So that it's not just that, it's the excitement of the games, but it's a time where they're just hanging out, and sometimes what else are they doing? Seniors need like, if they're stuck at home not doing anything, they can become complacent. Also, it can become very routine. So going out somewhere could be it can break up that routine for them. And they give out free things at the casino all the time. So
yeah, but you're spending a lot of money and living there too.
Yes, there's a plus and minus to everything in life, right?
Yeah.
There's a plus and minus to everything, and everything can be done in moderation. But it's just, when is it too much? And when what are we recognizing the signs within ourselves and or in other people, and how can we address it?
Yeah. And this is my last question, so please hurry up, our participants, if you like to ask something before Leilani leaves us. My last question was, because now I forgot what my question was. It always happens to me.
Okay.
How do we, it got back. So how do we recognize signs of addiction in someone?
Especially gambling, because it's not necessarily
related to gambling.
Not physical sign. Like I said before, when I was talking about the warning signs, when people are becoming aggressive, especially when it's talking about money, that could be a sign. When a lot of when they're often preoccupied. A lot of times people are preoccupied, not just they're like with mobile sports. Somebody who's constantly on their phone, checking their phone. That's a sign. There's if you check your bank account, and that's another thing. It's like constantly checking your finances, making sure that if credit cards are coming through the mail, and sometimes credit cards could be coming to the person's job because they know that another person at home is watching the mail and they're applying for credit cards, they're applying for different things. It's watching your finances, watching the person's behaviors, and just being aware.
Mhm.
And and watch their mental health. If it starts to decline or they just start becoming more aggressive, those are good signs to watch if an individual is
Addicted.
struggling. Yeah.
Okay. Leilani, we still have a few minutes. Any last thoughts that you would like to share with us, or any invitation to call your organization if we need help?
I say again, if you are struggling with gambling, or if you are if you are if you have like if you're a loved one who is asking questions or you want to get your loved one help, and at all times remember that a person has to be willing to get help. We can give them, you just have to be willing. And I hope that individuals who are struggling recognize that they are struggling and they get the care that they deserve. Get the care that you deserve, and know that you deserve to live well. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be in recovery. And if you end up falling short on your journey, know that there are services and there are support services out there to help you get back on the road. Like, don't feel afraid, don't feel alone, don't feel afraid, because there are people out there who are struggling just along with you and are here to support you. So if you need that information, please give us a call at 1-833-437-3864.
Thank you, Leilani. And do you have any materials, any flyers that you would like to share with our audience? Maybe when I send the link to the recording, I can send some of those materials, especially for different organizations, if they like to have a flyer there with the information or something like that. That'll be helpful too.
Yep. Will
Excellent.
do.
Okay, Leilani, such a pleasure to see you.
Yes,
See the
same
paintings
here.
on the wall. I love them, all the colors.
Thank you.
Congratulations for that. And to our participants, thank you so much for joining this community chats. Wait, I have to tell you what it is next week. You see how well prepared I am for today.
Take your time.
But in any case, next week, I'm sure that we have something very exciting as well, as every single Thursday at 12 o'clock when we are, live from Zoom here and bringing all these interesting topics to the community for your knowledge. And that way you can be informed, because the best weapon for health is education. Next week, we have been talking about different kinds of healing. We spoke about Reiki, yoga, different meditation. So tomorrow, we're going to be talking about pranic healing. I know it sounds kind of weird. It sounded weird to me too when we started talking about these, but we're going to learn about it and see what it is all about. So another one of those Oriental techniques that help us relax and feel better with ourselves. So that might be good even for some of your patients, Leilani, who suffer from addiction. So a good show next week. So I will be waiting for all of our participants. Leilani, thank you.
Thank you.
I always enjoy talking to you. And
yes, same here.
Keep it up, girl, for everything that you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we will see you next week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.